Hello everyone, Mike Arnold here again, co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. So, continued rally again, getting very long in the tooth. S&P 500 mini contract, just closing above the 87.5% harmonic. Coming into this wide cluster area. You can see how overbought it is on my short-term RSI. Generally, when it starts getting into this overbought, at least we have it doesn't mean it has to drop, but at least be prepared for sideways or consolidation. Now, we're getting up to a very key resistance area. I already listed this 45.20 area. It doesn't mean it has to stop. Things keep going. I mean, we've had a massive, what are we on? 5-day rally so far, coming up to a very key area. And we're really outpacing the daily rotation zone. We haven't even had a pausing bar, so I can't even do a trend line redraw. That's how strong this rally has been. Today we didn't even get a dip. Yesterday at least it was a little dip, like some backfill. Today we have not even gotten some backfill. So in some of the proprietary things I follow, we are an extremely overbought. And when I talk about overbought conditions, there are two ways to resolve it: either a pullback or a consolidation drift sideways. And if you want to know more about that, I'm doing a live stream. Watch the Tesla one. Tesla was a great consolidation sideways movement today. You can even just go look at a chart. So instead of a retracement, it just sort of consolidated sideways going into earnings tomorrow. Sorry for getting off the topic. Let's start looking at these shorter term charts and see what we have here. So you can see really nice. It's been holding this 1 hour rotation zone since that double cross pattern I talked about yesterday, holding that. Key support, your first minor one, is coming in about 45.06, and then significant back at this 44.95. That's the first significant area of support. I'm just taking a look. 44.95, the rising rotation zone. Let me zoom in. Rising rotation zone on the 4 hour also coming up to that area. So on a pullback, if we start getting it, I'm talking, and this is when it's recorded about 4:30 Chicago time, so this will continue to unfold. That's why it's very handy to update your charts. I do have videos how I set up my chart, so you can reproduce it exactly as I do, so you can set up the rotation zone and monitor it yourself. Let me mark some of this off though. You can see right there. Let me take some of this out of the way. We don't have many pausing bars here. So first key area is about 44.92 to 44.95, and then next key area I'm watching, we have this resistance shelf becoming support with the rising rotation zone. And the reason we use the rotation zone is because it tests out the best in terms of sort of areas that tend to be key support and or areas we rotate in. You see, the last time we pulled back just slightly below the 8 EMA and then rotated back up. So that's why I watch these key levels. Let me look at the longer term charts. Now the daily, if we drop below about this 44.65, then my next area is the 62.5% harmonic, 41.50 with the rising rotation zone. So that's pretty much if we have a big drop or big retracement. This right in here is my key support area. To the upside, this isn't giving us anything. That was only a 1 hour pausing bar. I'm just going to have to use this daily area then, which, interesting enough, you can see here when I move this, watch where this line lines up. So we're going to the high of today, and it comes in right with the high, the most recent high. So on the next market push higher, I'm then looking for a retest of the highs. But again, as I said, it's massively overbought. So I would not be surprised to see some kind of pullback or at least some sideways movement. If we start traveling sideways, what am I watching for? I'm especially watching for, this 4 hour rotation zone to start catching up and starting to reconnect with the price. And we might get a little combo, you know, pull back and then rotation back up, but that's going to be my first sign that I'm going to be watching for. Other than that, not much else to talk about. We've got the lines up here. You can still have a minor little push higher at this 45.20, but we start getting through there. Let me move some other line. Try not to over clutter up the chart. But you can see here this little resistance shelf right around there. So 45.35, above 45.35, the next minor level 45.20, then 45.49 to 45.50 is major for tomorrow. Then above that, and this isn't necessarily for tomorrow, but we have a 45.82. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq continuing to run up. Just going to clean up the charts. I generally don't like to do it until we're doing it together. You know, sort of like I'm Bob Ross with this canvas and I'm painting in front of you. Not that I'm talented like Bob Ross, but you know, he didn't like all of a sudden pull the picture out from behind a curtain. He sat there and painted it, and that's, I guess, what my goal is to try to teach. You can see here we got that nice pausing bar, which is why I don't just want people to come and watch the video. I want you to learn along with me and learn how to update your charts, because I might not be around for a day. And it's always good to, like here, we got this nice pausing bar. See this 15,362? We paused out right there, giving you the ability to update the levels. All right. And so then you would have spotted the next cluster area coming in at 15,497 right in here. 15,492 to 15,497. I'd probably just target, I mean, I'd start watching as we got into that window, but that's essentially about 15,500. Then the level above that, 15,675. All that because we got a pausing bar. Now, what else is jumping out at me? I have this 15,319 level with the rising 4-hour rotation zone and the other trend line that was just broken. So this is some very key support for me. 15,319 to about 15,306 is key support. If we drop below that, I just have to look at my time frames. Remember, it's always helpful to step back and take a look at the bigger picture. The daily we'll get to in a second. Just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So there's not a lot of great support in here now. With this, we've really had this power move. So below that, if we really get a bigger pullback, I'm watching about 15,200 to about 15,180. And keep in mind that this rotation zone, the blue line, is going to keep rising up. So 15,200. If we start pulling back below this trend line and below the top of the 4-hour rotation zone, that's what I'm going to be keying off of, because I'm going to be watching how the market reacts when it gets in that area. Let's see, below that, wow. This, we're not even watching anymore. So below that, I'm back down with the daily rotation zone all the way back at 15,065. So if we had a disaster day where we broke below a lot of these key levels, 15,065 is my next target. Now, what everyone wants to hear, besides it being massively overbought, same thing holds true with the S&P. Doesn't mean it can't keep going up. However, I start getting more and more prepared for at least a pause or pullback. So that's why it's really important to watch these levels to the downside. The upside tends to take care of itself, but we've already identified that 15,497 area to 15,500. Above there, we have 15,617, and then we get into this really toppy area. Above that, 15,671. Right in here, and then 15,000, what's the highs? 15,708.75. Above there, next, if we do break out above those highs, next major projection area is all the way 16,058, so roughly the 16,000 if we do continue this unabated march higher. Let's check in on the mini Dow. Mini Dow, we had this little potential double top, which is now invalidated, so it's always good to be prepared with that. And just because the levels are on the chart with double tops and double bottoms, remember those levels are still just hypothetical until they are confirmed. So we'll go through that again more in the future. First key level on the mini Dow, 35, about 220, right in here, this little resistance area becoming support. And you see how it just installed here. When I talk about resistance, make sure you keep looking a little more closely. You see how this key stopped there, then it rallied up and then dipped below that level before overtaking it. So you can see there was reactions at this level. That's the kind of things you're looking for to help validate a level with the rising rotation zone. You don't technically need the rotation zone. Why I love it is it helps your eyes really gravitate to key areas, and then always use price action first and foremost, but mini Dow also incredibly overbought. Key support below that, again, it's using closing prices. I sound like a broken record, but you'll be amazed how many times that people are sharing their analysis. I'm like, you missed key levels, you didn't focus on the closes, and they're like, oh yeah, I was looking at the highs and lows again. So I'm just going to keep repeating stuff until you mute me. 35,057, so roughly 35,000, 35,000 to 35,100 is my key level, first key level on a pullback. Then if we drop below there, I'm watching, I have a zone. We don't have a lot of great stuff. I'm going to be watching, this is where I will keep an eye at some of these highs. There were some resistance points up here. Let me mark it off. Especially, I'm still using that closing area right around there. I'm actually going to use this area right in here. So we're at about 34,850 to 34,771 is my major support zone on a pullback. That's with the rising rotation zone and this little key. Sometimes you don't get a real solid line, but you get a zone, and this is definitely a zone. And below that would be kissing the trend line goodbye, right back down about 34,650. Also, a reason I like this zone is right in the middle of it, we have the defining point for the trend line, which we have not been able to redraw yet. We're still closing in. Next push up, I'm watching for 35,425 to 35,458. Above there, overtake the most recent high, 35,547. And then we have 35,700. And then above there, 35,818. Real quick, one more thing. I just want to say, why do we identify levels? Now, levels can be used to take profits and or move stops. It means you take an action. And a lot of times you can move up stops. Or you can at least check in with the market and reforecast and use, you look for pausing bars in those areas and then look for the next clusters. Because having targets forces you to manage your risk and reward, both to the upside and to the downside. That's why targets are so important. Especially, all right, we're coming in, we're getting very overbought. So aggressively, sometimes when it gets this overbought, raising stops when it hits targets, so that if we get a pullback, you might get stopped out of part of your position and then re-enter on a nice pullback where we get the pullback to a key level and either a bottoming pattern like a double bottom, a divergence, or some kind of reversal pattern at one of these key levels. I'll leave it at that today, and we'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.